What's up, everybody? It's your boy Melvin for another classic review, and today I'll be talking about my thoughts on. Since we're still on the Love Bug, let's go for a sequel. Released in 1974, the more popular sequel of all of the Love Bug the Love Bug films, Herbie Rides Again. Released back in 1974, a couple years after the first one that was released back in 1978, which stars Helen Hayes, Ken Berry, Stephanie Powers, Kenan Wayne, and John McIntyre. So this is like the sequel to The Love Bug. It takes place after the first one, like a couple years after. I don't know what's going on. We see Herbie now with the ownership of Mrs. Grandma Steinmetz, widow of former owner Fire Captain Steinmetz, and the aunt of the mechanic Tennessee Steinmetz from the first film. So yeah, this is like a weird one because it says Jim Douglas is like racing around the world, so he leaves Herbie in the custody of her. And another one, a air sky waitress named Nicole, who's a bit defensive because the men that work for Alonzo Hawk wants to buy her out so they can demolish the firehouse and put his famous Hawk Plaza, which is like a reference to Trump Tower, I think. But before we begin, did you subscribe? Did you hit the bell? So, are you living in an old building? If so, you better keep that building because Alonzo Hawk's gonna tear it down, put something stupid, and our collapse will happen. So yeah, Herbie Rides Again was aired released in June 6th of 1974. Remember, it's like a couple of years, like 7 years after the first film, which of course stars Herbie. Co-directed by Robert Stevenson. It was produced by Bill Walsh and stars Helen Hayes, Stephanie Powers, like I had to repeat, and also Keen Wine, reprising his role as the villainous Alonzo Hawk, who was originated in the films of The Absent-Minded Professor and Son of Flubber, along with Fred McMurray as Professor Ned Brainer. To those who don't know, that's the original to the remake of Flubber starring Robin Williams. That one. You combine both in one. Instead of a Ford Firebird, it's a Ford Model T touring car. Without the action. Just a bunch of joking around the flying Model T touring car all over. And nobody know about dancing green jelly. Oh no. It's like a putty. That's it. So yeah. I consider this one of my favorites because this made me laugh more. And this thing has by the budget, I don't know how much was the budget here back then, but it said the box office growth was almost 38 million in the US and Canada, while worldwide is 30.8 million worldwide. So yeah. And rentals as well. Did I mention how much was the budget? I think it was like the same like the last one. As you know, this takes place like 7 years after the first film. And we see first of all, I want to talk about the production because it's quite weird. As you know, we have the casting with Fritz Field, who appears as Mattire D, or Vito Scott, who plays the Italian cab driver. Also appear in the sequel, Herbie Goes Bananas, as crewman of the ship Sun Princess, which I did not know. Wait, was he the one that this orphan kid was stealing food while he was hiding inside Herbie's trunk? Literally, was that the guy? While he's trying to eat food, the chicken? The guy doing muncha. I did not put two and two together. Damn. Also, we have Dan Tobin, Raymond Bailey, Iggy Wolfington, Robert S. Carson, John John Zaremba played some of Hawk's attorneys. Disney's regular Norman Grabowski played security guard number 2. John Mivers played San Francisco officer of the president announcer, and Alan Carney played a judge at the chicken tournament. Yeah. It's like jousting. Yeah, that's jousting with cars. If you turn away, you're a chicken. Yeah. And there was a deleted scene of this, which was never revealed, because it says here that the GFA Viewmaster reel set for the film shows a still from a deleted sequence where this is one of Hawk's nightmares. You know, he's getting tortured by Herbie first. He's trying to count sheep, and then Herbie appears as a wolf. The next one, he's tied up, and you got Native American Herbies. That last one, King Kong. Alonzo's King Kong with Herbie's the plane shooting oil at his face. He's on top of his headquarters, not the Empire State Building, which is pretty funny. And this one has to be a more darker one, because where one of Hawk's nightmares has him about to be treated by a pair of white VW Beetle doctors, Dr. Herbie, who decides to take his carburetor out and have a look at it. As they approach Hawk, he is awakened by Lutz Garden, the wrecking ball owner of the wrecking company, who mistakes his house as the firehouse. It's kind of funny, if I recall correctly, that looks the same house from the Absent-Minded Professor, the same house from the Absent-Minded Professor film, so that's quite interesting. And a bit dark, because, okay, we have the Wolf Herbie, Indian Herbie, Plain Herbie, and this is considered more dark, and this one is a still from a deleted scene. So remember, I don't know, people, is there an actual footage of this they done? Only a photo of a still. Which would be quite interesting what it looks like. We see Herbie operating on Alonzo Hawk. Oh god, how the tables have turned. As for the vehicles, which Herbie used for the film, consisted of both a 1963 and 1965 Beetle. The included 65 models makes for some continuity errors, as the windows are larger than the 65 bug, which, yeah, you might notice. One of the VW Beetles used in the deleted nightmare sequence, the above sequence, was used in the Love Bug as a stunt car during the El Dorado race. Also in interior as well. Many years after Herbie Rides Again, the car's red cross, mechanical arms, and eyeball headlights were removed and restored to their former appearance. Pity. And there was a quote called "the world's highest building," which is Hawk Plaza, which looks like a giant H. If you see the opening sequence, they show this gigantic model, this giant building, like a giant H building. Like, huh? You ever see a wall, including where they're gonna build? You have this giant billboard that has Hawk Plaza shining all of San Francisco. How much money? That'd be like billions now. Back then, here be zillions. Which is that Hawk Plaza is shown as a shining twin tower, 130-story San Francisco skyscraper, touted as the world's highest building. Coincidentally, the towering Inferno, released 6 months later, featured the Glass Tower, a shining single tower, 138-story San Francisco skyscraper, touted as the tallest building in the world, and actually the former New York Twin Towers of the World Trade Center, the tallest building in the world, has officially opened in 1973, and Chicago's 108-story Sears Tower claimed the title in 1974, just 1 month before Herbie Rides Again was released. I think we have to disqualify the Twin Towers because of 9/11. Ouch. And there's a lot, because I'm going to talk about the opening sequence, where we have the opening sequence, we have that doo-doo, 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 Herbie's theme. And we ends up And guess what it ends up? It's like, oh, we have a jolly adventure. Minutes later, destroying buildings. And we see Hawk right there. He looks like he's about to have a happy time seeing those buildings destroyed. Literally. You see him like does the with the neck when you see the building being exploding, blown up. He has that, you know, the trigger, you know, you pull it up and you press down, it explodes. That thing. The igniter. Oh boy. At first, when I first saw it as a kid, like, are you kidding me? Did he just literally blow up buildings? In reality, those were actually stock footage from, I don't know where they got those footage from. Those had to be footage from back around the 60s and early 70s right there, because those just demolished old buildings, like right there. Had like late 50s, 60s, or early 70s right there. Demolishing, like you got wrecking balls destroying old houses, blowing up buildings. That. And here we have a gag with Alonzo Hawk in Italy, in Rome, with the driver. Like I mentioned, he appeared in Herbie Goes Bena as one of the crewmen eating the chicken. Well, try to eat chicken, because the little kid inside Herbie is still in the chicken. Showing Alonzo around Rome. That's when you see the famous Roman Colosseum. That's when Alonzo knows the Colosseum. What a sight! Ah, yes, the mighty Colosseum, the pride of Rome. And guess what Alonzo did? He just went once 180 and said, "Do you people know how big of a property that is? A big shopping mall?" They're like, what? You can see his face right there, like, what the fuck? What the fuck, you old fart? You American shithead. You were right there. Then we cut off to his office in Hawk Plaza right there. We see a giant Hawk statue right there, and we have the announcer, you know, showing the famous tower, and say, "Here it is, the world's tallest building." And I ask, who is the man who dreamed this? I present Alonzo Hawk. And we see all the lawyers, like his bodyguard, like you see his lawyers right there lined up, like they're his stormtroopers, and you see a Hawk coming out of both those doors like a gentleman. After everything's over, he gets a phone call from the wrecking company. Not the other one, it's another company. I forget his name. Mr. Judson? No. It was another Barnsdorf. Who's waiting for the order to commence building. And that's when Alonzo Hawk say, "What are you talking about? That place will be clean until they remove the tower and see the firehouse." They say, "What's that? I thought we got rid of that crummy firehouse months ago." Jesus. He still got it. I mean, Keen Wine still got Hawk's temper. And it's been a while, because remember, the Absent-Minded Professor and Son of Flubber both came out from 1961 and 1963. And you see those films with him, with that voice, that temper, it's still the same. That's Alonzo Hawk for you. He hasn't changed a bit. That goatee beard, like he's the devil. Jesus. He's the type of boss you don't want to have. I mean, literally a temper. There was a scene when I think his nephew shows up because he wants to work for him, and he heard he's a lawyer, which of course, because his lawyers, he said, "None of your own mothers will trust you." Of course, he believes he gave him the Man of the Year, which he called him a humanitarian, which he's calling his favorite nephew and making a lie about Steinmetz firehouse. Was it when they arrived at the place? Jesus fuck. How's that changed over 7 years? Right out the first film, we see the firehouse with a bunch of these other houses, like it's a nice neighborhood, like clean. Now it looks like something from Planet of the Apes. You can see the ocean right there, the bridge. The only thing was at the firehouse, and we first meet Herbie, who managed to pin Willoughby's foot before Mrs. Steinmetz pushed him off. Of course, she shows them around. He also meets a trolley car, number 22, a retired cable car. Which, of course, no, Herbie's not the only sentiment machine being there. You have the former cable car number 22, whose sentiment, and an old early 20th century orchestrion jukebox, I think, some type of jukebox, you know, the orchestra ones. Those are the only three sentiments right there. Like, Jesus, Herbie, you try to send your souls to each of them. I don't know who's scarier to get run over, Herbie or the trolley car. I think it's Herbie because it's cable cars needs rail tracks, so that's a difference. And of course, while we're talking, we meet Nicole, who came back because she worked with the airline. That's when Steinmetz present Willie. Oh, this is Nicole. He said, "How you do? How you do?" Well, let's try it again. Bam! Sucker punch to the face, like the hell. And we see the jukebox say, "Do do 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 do." Do, 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 do. What the hell? Like a victory, like he just beat up a guy. That's why he just out of nowhere like, who is this? This is her neighbor because she took out a terrorist with a champagne bottle. Of course, he leaves. Soon, he tried to leave, but Herbie, well, he couldn't let go. So both of them go out. While Herbie just does his little skip. Meaning? Yeah. Herbie goes berserk after Willoughby while driving. That's when Willoughby starts to insult Herbie twice, and he goes berserk by driving by himself. And the first place to go, a jousting with. Okay, I'm mistaken. What was it called? The Yellow Knight. That looks like Daniel Tomlinson from the first film. Let me check if I'm not correct. Let me see. Nothing. Shit. There was the jousting scene. Let me find that. Where is it? Where's the jousting scene? Yeah, there was a jousting scene. Yeah. After that, after Herbie won, well, yeah, you know how Herbie is. They wanted a little fisherman wharf for a little lobster. Which, of course, will be surprised when Nicole's telling about these horrors of Hawk until he spills the bean that Hawk is his uncle. When she grabs a lobster, slaps it again, and he falls off the wharf into the water. This guy cannot catch a break. Later at night, Nicole's with Mrs. Steinmetz, or he calls her grandma. Literally, she's like a grandma to her, explain the whole thing. That's when we see a sequence of Herbie dreaming about his days as a race car. When, remember, Mrs. Steinmetz, he told Willoughby that Herbie used to be in a famous racing car because Jim Douglas, well, Tennessee left in the care with Mrs. Steinmetz. And we see flashbacks from the first film of Herbie racing and everything during the night. After that, it was like, well, wait. Okay. After that, let's just say things get a little weird. Which, of course, sorry, I'm just daydreaming. Which, of course, he tries to talk to his uncle about it until, well, that didn't work because remember, he just pissed off. His yell was so loud, his yell busted the glass from the telephone booth way far, literally, and everybody was like looking at Willie, and he left. Well, Hawk getting a headache. Oh boy. And he's in the sky talking about his mother, saying he's the evil man. Because, hey, a guy with that money, you're supposed to be hiding. That's when Hawk decides to take upon himself to drive Mrs. Steinmetz out. The first thing he starts, stealing Herbie, using the classic tool. Coat hanger. Literally. Soon he has to drive. Hawks insults the car, which would cause traffic jam, which Hawk gets pissed off by. And everybody started playing a little tug of war. And it ends up in a mess. And Herbie ditching Hawk. And the policemen arrive, give him a bunch of tickets. Oh boy. Of course, Mrs. Diamond went out with Herbie, go to the market, which of course, I think the lawyers are following him, which Herbie notices and starts doing a little goose chase. Which Mrs. Steinmetz doesn't even get an idea. First he's inside a fancy restaurant, then doing a Dukes of Hazzard stunt, jumping over a parking building, and then the most craziest thing, right on a cable of the Golden Gate Bridge. And the lawyers are like, all the walking, and they see Herbie going backwards, and they're like, okay, go back, go back, go back. You imagine the fright. You see a Volkswagen Beetle going backwards, and you're walking on that damn thing, and you're like, there's no way to get out of the way. You have to run as fuck as you can. Soon after, that's when they came back. That's when Mr. Steinmetz had an idea. He had his chauffeur with looked like a... Well, as you know, he had turned away, bribe a man to park his trailer on the old road because he has an idea. Because Nicole and Willoughby went there at the beach, which Herbie decides to go in the water with them. And they see a shark. Unfortunately, they get blocked because the chauffeur bribed the driver, and still when they return, that's when Willie knows that number 22 is missing. And when he went inside, everything was gone. And you see Mr. Steinmetz on the steps sitting depressed because tell that Hawk's own men remove everything, including the cable car, everything, and they go to the warehouse, which of course, oh boy, that's when Herbie decides to do the old-fashioned, when they try to break the lock. That's what Herbie does, the loud way. He just busted through the damn door. Soon they walked into the warehouse, which we see a lot of halt. You're surrounded by the elite authorities of the Alonzo Hawk Company. Jesus. In the recording keeps playing, we see some of his goons arrive, his security force, which we know it's Herbie. They found the stuff, but they get caught. But as for Herbie, he sneaks away, climbs up a bunch of stuff, and barricades the guards, literally. I don't know how much Herbie weighs. Those things are strong to hold a bug like that. So they managed to get all the stuff. They put everything on number 22. They're on the cable line. So they ran into there's like a Texan. I forgot the name of the guy. Yeah, they actually an old timer named Judson, who's like a Texan from Texas, and they started having a good conversation, both Steinmetz and him. Well, Herbie and is falling behind. That's when they notice the line of cars, including Mr. Hawk right there, which Herbie goes backwards and stops him. Well, Willoughby was looking. He didn't notice. He forgot to put the brakes on the damn cable car. It goes straight down. Which, of course, he shouts, "Mrs. Steinmetz, pull the brakes!" Which, nope. She's too busy talking to Judson right there. A good conversation, which, of course, he jumps into Herbie after Herbie finishes with Hawksman, like a whole demolition, literally. Soon, everything goes to shenanigans, like when... And we see the damn music thing started playing different, like, calling "It's a Hot Time, the Whole Town Tonight," when they bust through a wall. Dun 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 dun. And right busted through a damn wall. And then they pass by, it looks like a fancy party, like from the 70s, like those fancy rich parties. With, the piano, the violin, bunch of old people. That's when they heard the damn box from 22. Dun 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 dun, ding ding ding. And the Herbie, beep beep. And the old man's like, is that anybody we know? And it's like, oh, how nice. We see how nice folks are dressing up for parties. And of course, they have a bigger problem because when they look at the horizon, they're near the wharf. And you can see Alcatraz right there. So they're about, and they have to hurry before the damn cable car goes in the water, down the ocean. Of course, Willoughby managed to climb in the cave car, pull up the brakes, and just in time. And Justin climbed out. I think he was drunk. And of course, Steinmetz had a wonderful time. Jesus, fuck! Seriously? You didn't know they were about to get killed into the ocean? After that, next morning, let's just say Miss Steinmetz wants to confront Hawk herself, but of course, denies, and Nicole tells Willoughby to watch her, which of course, as she leaves, there goes Steinmetz with Herbie, which of course he follows her. Meanwhile, Mr. Hawk's having a headache, he's trying to talk, window washing, he didn't want it, so that's when Mrs. Steinmetz asked, which was Mr. Hawk's office? And the window washer said, oh, up there. Which of course, she actually puts Herbie in the damn machine, which is the lift they use to clean windows, And you have Willoughby hanging right in the end, right there, right down below. I don't know how big that is a nightmare. You see Grandma trying like, oh, Mr. Willoughby, I didn't know you were there. Like, are you kidding me? He's hanging right down below, like 100 feet, to his death. You think he's just hanging there for having fun? Which, of course, he promised her he'd go to let him talk to her, Mr. Hawk. As they arrive to his office, that's when they hear Hawk talking to, I think, Loose Garden, the other wrecking company that, well, let's just say, that to give him a chance to do a night job by demolishing the firehouse. Which, of course, Mrs. Steinmetz hears the whole thing. She presses the lever, which releases the soap bubbles, and which is completely suds the whole place. And we see Mr. Hawk right there. Oh, hi, Uncle. I think you may know Mrs. Steinmetz. How do you do? Pulls the lever and keeps spraying up. It's like, don't worry, Uncle. Everything's under control. Which, no, he grabs something and throws at Herbie. And Mrs. Steinmetz said, now you're down, Mr. Hawk. Now you made Herbie very angry and starts a massive chase down around his office and falling because of the soap. Meanwhile, his secretary and the other lawyers notice the noise. Should we check what's going on? And the secretary say, when Mr. Hawk said he's busy, he doesn't want nobody to disturb him. Literally right there. And even when he's like penguin slides out, and the secretary, are you going now, Mr. Hawk? And we see Herbie chasing Mr. Hawk, and then we'll say, oh, secretary, Mrs. Steinmetz, I told you he was busy. And the lawyer's like, what? And we see him, Jay, and everybody like in the hallway seeing Herbie, and they're like, what the hell is that car doing in the middle of the hallway? And of course, we see another freaky part. Mr. Hawk actually trying to play pigeons to get the hell out of the building. Which is actually pretty funny, but we see Mr. Hawk right in the edge, and we see Herbie right there getting closer and closer, closer and closer. And that's when Mrs. Steinmetz knows that Herbie's afraid of one thing. A used car lot. That's the one thing he's afraid, because remember, he is from a used car lot from the first film. From the first film, remember. And he's when he heard about that, he's like, nope, I'm going back. I'm gonna go back. I'm a good bug. Beep beep. And yes, of course, after the whole thing, they try to find out where Hawk's address is. Even Nicole talks to one of the waitresses from Hawk's private plane, which they don't know. That's when Willoughby reveals that he actually has his uncle's address because he sends him Christmas cards every year since he was 10 years old. Which, of course, Willoughby disguises his voice as his uncle, telling Ruth Gardner to demolish his uncle's house instead of the firehouse. Late the night, Hawk is trying to have trouble sleeping. He talks to his doctor about a good remedy to sleep, which of course tells him to count sheep. And then commenced the freaky nightmare. Oh boy, we see him count sheep. 1 sheep, 2 sheep, 3 sheep. And we see Herbie the wolf. Like, holy shit, that scared the shit out of me. That's the last thing you want to see in a Volkswagen Bug, making that face. Imagine Christine had that face. No, I think Herbie makes it good because, dude, you have that hoop trunk, so it looks like a damn jaw. Then we have a dog tied up and getting scalped by Indian Herbies. Dun 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 dun. have the rear windows fun the axe, tomahawks. And then we have the final scene where we see Hawk as King Kong, like shooting a bunch of mini Herbies like they're like airplanes. They're shooting oil out of their engines. Which, I don't know if that's the Empire State Building or his tower, I don't know. So when he wakes up from the phone call from Luke's garden, tell him, sorry to disturb you, Mr. Hawk, but I want to make sure this is the right address. Which, of course, is the address that Willie gave him, not the firehouse. Which, of course, he says, of course that's the right address. I'll even know that. I'll realize that's my own address. That's when he hangs up, and he realizes, wait a minute, that is my own address. And then, boom, Luke's garden starts the wrecking ball, wrecking the house. And that's when Mr. Hawk's, when the window's destroyed, they're like, Luke's garden, no! This is my house, you idiot! You really done this work! He falls down into the debris. He's like, you grabs a 2x4 and about to bash his brains at Luke's garden's head. I think it was a bad idea to lose the tin cap, the hard cap, because he really needs it because Mr. Hawk is holding a 2x4 about to bash his brains out after demolishing his house. Sorry, it's just too funny. You see Mr. Hawk like fall in debris and this guy like you pissed off right there. He's like, really? You can just drive away. Nope, he just left the damn thing and like ran off like a little bitch. Soon, they see the newspaper that Mr. Hawk gives up, which actually is a lie. So, while Willoughby and Nicole are out getting dinner, meanwhile, we see Steinmetz and Judson having dinner as well. That's when they notice a strange rumble, which turns out Hawk shows up with a whole army of bulldozers and front loaders about to destroy the firehouse. Which, of course, when they notice Herbie rides out, Hawk sees Herbie, he goes under the Jeep, but Herbie just goes past by, just like that. Which, of course, Mrs. Stein knows he's getting help. And we see both of them, like this. It's like a recreation of the Alamo. You see Justin and Stein racing the famous the flag of the firehouse flag, which is actually a nice homage. And they go down the fire pole, and then Mrs. Stein gives her late husband's fire helmet, which, of course, because he reminds her of her late husband. Oh boy, that's an Alamo recreation of this with the firehouse, which is actually pretty cool. Meanwhile, well, Willoughby and Nicole are out at the same wharf where he got slapped with the lobster. That's what Willoughby about to pop the question before they see Herbie, which of course they know something's going on. As they race towards the firehouse, Herbie got some friends, as in other Volkswagen bugs, a whole army of them. One by one, like a whole army. Dun, 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 dun. Like one by one, all the Volkswagen bugs come to life and follow Herbie. Even one that is scrapped. I call it Junkyard Herbie. Literally, it's scrapped. Like it's like he can barely get strength. Like he's wobbly, his door's hanging, it's broken. Even there's a hippie Volkswagen bug with two couples kissing. And they don't even know that their car is driving by itself. They're just right there, kissing right there. It's too funny. Meanwhile, we see that Miss Steinmetz and Judson find off the bulldozer front loads for the fire hose, which unfortunately exploded when the hose, let's say, the pressure to build up too much exploded, which they lost. Which he said, well, we just ran out of ammo. That's when Mr. Hawk announces they'll go all in one. He said, ready? Beep. He turns around, a whole army of Volkswagen bugs lead by Herbie. He's like, drive! Drive! Which we see everybody chicken out. These are people with bulldozers and front loaders versus a bunch of VW bugs. Tiny cars. And they're not brave enough to scrap them with those giant machines. But nope, they just turn tail and gone chicken. That's when Mr. Hawk and his chauffeur see the army. They went backwards. They actually hit a front loader. After arguing, the front loader lifted his scoop, which knocks both the chauffeur and Hawk out of their Jeep, which sends Mr. Hawk being chased by a whole army of bugs while Mrs. Steinmetz and Justin are just waving while seeing the whole thing. Which, of course, as Mr. Hawk arrives, still running, they encounter the police captain, and that's when he tells them, "They're after me! They're after me!" Look, nothing. You want to happen? Well, Herbie wants to still chase him. That's when William said, "Hey, if you don't stop, you're not invited to the wedding." Which they all break it. They all break, all of them at once. And of course, they think Hawk's looting, and they take him away. After that, that's when Nicole tells them the great idea about the wedding. That they say, "Wait a minute, what wedding?" Then we cut to the scene. We see number 22 ring his bell, ding, 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 and we see the firehouse bell tower ringing. Of course, it's a wedding. Willoughby and Nicole's wedding, and we see both Mrs. Steinmetz and Justin, just as the best man and the bridesmaid. And when we open up, we see all the Volkswagen bugs formed as like a tent, like as Herbie passes by driving Nicole and Willoughby on their honeymoon. We see a bunch of kids out there, and that was the end. We see this map painting of the view of San Francisco while the thing's playing. Damn. And yeah, people, those are my thoughts on Herbie Rides Again. Man, tell you the truth, I consider this one of my favorite ones because, okay, it's they brought back the villainous Mr. Hawk, so I wonder if this is connecting to the Absent-Minded Professor with this one. So it's like, what, the same area? And also we have some gags here, including the Fever Nightmare. You think, now you have two Fever Nightmares. Dumbo's Pink Elephant March, and this one. And yeah, King Wayne as Alonzo Hawk, perfect. If you don't remember, if you've seen the Absent-Minded Professor and the Son of Flubber, he was not the only one because his dad also appeared with him, Ed Wein, who is a famous vaudevillian and comedian, more famous being as Mary Poppins' uncle, the one who's laughing, he's floating up the ceiling, and the voice of the Mad Hatter from the first film of Alice in Wonderland. It's your birthday, no? Have some tea. I'll tell you the truth, he makes me laugh. You can't like see both father and son in the same film, and they both appeared in the same movie twice. Except his dad plays two different roles. In the first film, he plays the bumbling fire chief, while his son cannot stop bouncing up and down because the professor tricked him wearing shoes containing flubber, which makes him bounce higher. And the second one, he's a scientist proving about bringing an example of a giant ass vegetable caused by the effect that the professor was doing during a test. Professor Brain was testing. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Herbie Rides Again. And tell you the truth, this is my favorite. As for the receptions, well, let's just say people didn't like it, but first of all, fuck the critics. I'm going to talk about the negative ones. Don't listen to them. Because this film has 80% Rotten Tomatoes, so this film is good. As for the box office at the time, it made Disney like 17.5 million theatrical rentals, and overseas rentals 13.3 million, in a total of, and worldwide, given worldwide rentals of $31 million. At reception, well, let's say half is negative, but the film holds an 80% Rotten Tomatoes, so it's still good. But the scenes, right, damn. But yeah, people, those are my thoughts on the film. But let me know what you think of Herbie Rides Again. Did you like this film? What was your favorite scene? To me, you got the opening sequence where you see Mr. Hawk enjoying seeing buildings destroyed, and his dream where he's getting tortured by Herbie. Well, yeah, Wolf Herbie, Indian Herbie, and Plain Herbie doing a scene like King Kong. Including, I wish they had that missing scene, the one that when Herbie is operating on Mr. Hawk. That'll be way darker and pretty. I want to see that photo. Hell yeah. But yeah, let me know what your thoughts on Herbie Rides Again. Did you seen it on VHS? Because I'm going to ask you seen it in theaters, please. If you own the DVD, VHS, Blu-ray, tell me what your favorite scene. Did you enjoy it? If you're new to the channel, remember to subscribe, hit the bell, like this video, and I'll see you next time. Peace out.